You usually assume that what you seek is somewhere else. You assume truth is distant, waiting to be reached, discovered, or earned. This assumption feels so normal that you rarely notice it. Yet a simple question begins to disturb this certainty. If what you seek is ultimate reality, and if ultimate reality is infinite, where exactly would it be located? The philosopher and mystic Ibn Arabi challenged this very structure of thinking. He did not ask how to reach the truth. He asked whether the idea of distance itself was the original mistake. You call yourself a seeker. But what if seeking already assumes absence? What if absence is not discovered, but imagined? If nothing exists outside a reality, then nothing stands apart from it. And if nothing stands apart from it, what observes it? Is separation the primary illusion? Ibn Arabi lived in a world shaped by theology, law, and philosophy. Debates about God, creation, and human purpose were intense and highly structured. Most systems depended on clear distinctions: creator and creation, knower and known, sacred and ordinary. Ibn Arabi did not reject these discussions, but he approached them from an unusual angle. Rather than refining boundaries, he questioned their ultimate validity. He is often described as a mystic poet, but this description can be misleading. At his core, Ibn Arabi was a rigorous metaphysician. He constructed precise arguments about existence, knowledge, and identity. His most controversial claim was simple: only one reality truly exists. Everything else is a mode or expression of that single reality. This claim unsettled many scholars, because if existence is one, then the ultimate difference disappears. Not at the practical level, but at the deepest level of what is. Why would a thinker insist that distinction itself is the deepest form of ignorance? Notice how you normally understand knowledge. You imagine a subject here and an object there. You imagine information traveling from outside toward you. This model feels obvious. But look more closely. Every piece of knowledge you have ever acquired appears as a thought. Every fact, memory, and conclusion appears within awareness. You never step outside awareness to retrieve truth. Yet the mind insists that truth is external, hidden, somewhere else. Why does it insist on this? Because if truth were already present, the role of seeker would collapse, and the sense of being incomplete would lose its foundation. The idea of distance quietly supports identity. You are the one who lacks. You are the one who searches. You are the one who accumulates. But what if this entire structure is circular? What if the sense of lack arises from the assumption of distance? Then lack is not discovered. It is generated. Are you incomplete by nature? Or incomplete by definition? Ibn Arabi's starting point is not mystical. It is logical. If something exists, it must exist within being. If being were divided into multiple independent realities, each would require its own source. That would produce an infinite regress. So Ibn Arabi concludes that existence itself is one. Not symbolically, not poetically, ontologically. Multiplicity appears. Forms appear. Differences appear. But appearance does not equal independent existence. You already accept a simpler version of this. Your thoughts are many. Yet you do not assume each thought has its own separate consciousness. They arise within one field of awareness. Ibn Arabi extends this logic to everything. Bodies, minds, events, and worlds are modes of one being. If this is so, then separation is not a property of reality. It is a conceptual overlay. If only one reality exists, where could otherness be placed? Inside the one? Outside the one? If outside, it would not exist. If inside, it is not truly other dot. So what exactly is the other? You normally think of yourself as a thing, an internal object called me dot. But when you look for this object, what do you find? You find sensations. You find thoughts. You find memories. You find emotions. Each of these changes. None remains stable. You may say, I am the one who observes them. But this observer is never found as an object. It is only inferred. Ibn Arabi suggests that what you call self is a relationship, a pattern of appearing experiences, not a fixed entity. The self is not something that has experiences. It is the activity of experiencing. This changes the entire structure. If there is no solid self, then who is separate? If there is no separate self, then what stands apart from reality? The sense of identity may be functional. It helps organize behavior. But functionality does not equal metaphysical truth. If no stable core can be located, what exactly claims ownership of experience? Ordinary knowledge works by representation. You know about something. You hold a concept of it. This creates a gap. There is you. There is the thing known. Ibn Arabi points toward a deeper form of knowing. Not knowing about. Knowing as, you already understand this in simple ways. You do not observe your existence. You exist. You do not infer that you are aware. Awareness is immediate. This immediacy is not produced by thought. It precedes thought. Ibn Arabi calls this kind of knowledge identity-based knowledge. The knower and the known are not two at this level. Asking who knows becomes meaningless, because knowing is not an activity performed by a separate subject. It is the structure of being itself. This does not destroy intelligence. It reorients it. What remains of knowledge when there is no observer left? These ideas were not merely abstract. They had serious implications. If all existence is one, then no institution can claim exclusive ownership of truth. No group can position itself as metaphysically superior. This threatens hierarchical systems. It threatens theological monopolies. It threatens identities built on separation. Ibn Arabi did not deny religious practice, but he refused to absolutize forms. Forms are valid, but they are not ultimate. Many critics accused him of dissolving moral structure, but his claim was different. He dissolved metaphysical division, not practical responsibility. The danger of his thought is not chaos. The danger is loss of control. When separation dissolves, authority must justify itself ethically, not cosmicall. Why is truth feared? Because it destroys false certainty, or because it removes the foundations of domination. If reality is one, does that mean good and evil are illusions? Ibn Arabi's answer is subtle. At the level of human action, distinctions remain necessary. Choices matter. Consequences occur. But at the level of being, good and evil are not opposing substances. They are interpretations of relationships. A single event may be beneficial in one context and harmful in another. This does not eliminate responsibility. It removes cosmic V, ILLA on Y. No force exists whose essence is pure evil. No force exists whose essence is pure goodness. There are only expressions of reality interacting. This perspective shifts ethics from obedience to fear, toward responsibility through understanding. Can responsibility exist without metaphysical enemies? Spiritual traditions often describe a path, a journey from ignorance to truth. This language can be useful, but it hides an assumption. It assumes truth is absent. If truth were absent, existence itself would be incomplete. Ibn Arabi rejects this implication. The seeker arises within reality. The idea of seeking arises within reality. The imagined goal arises within reality. Nothing stands outside reality to approach it. So what is spiritual practice? Not movement towards something distant, but removal of mistaken assumptions. The primary assumption is separation. When this assumption weakens, seeking loses urgency. Not because curiosity ends, but because lack dissolves. Who is seeking what if nothing is missing? If there is no central self, life does not stop. Thoughts continue. Decisions occur. Actions happen, but ownership softens. Experiences arise without needing a personal manager. This does not produce passivity. It produces responsiveness. You still plan. You still evaluate. You still choose, but choices are no longer anchored to defend an imagined core. Psychologically, this reduces internal conflict. Not because problems vanish, but because identity is no longer fused with every outcome. Failure happens. Success happens. Neither defines what you are. Is freedom the acquisition of a superior state, or the abandonment of a false premise? You began with the assumption of distance. You end with a question about its validity. If reality is one, nothing stands outside it. If nothing stands outside it, nothing observes it from elsewhere. Awareness is not a window. It is the structure of being. The paradox does not resolve into a conclusion. It dissolves into clarity. There was never a gap to bridge, never an arrival point to reach. The idea of distance was a thought. The idea of arrival was another thought. If there has never been distance, what was ever meant by arrival?